Now today it's going to rain all day. It's already raining already out there. So I need to replan what I originally wanted to do today. And I'm hoping maybe we can get a hold of Turbo Steve, come over do his decals today. And that would get us set up for another day of clear. But you never know. At this time of year we always have to work around the weather. And the weather always has the last laugh. So whenever I start off a day, I always try to have two plans of action. One is that I'll be able to work outside, paint, maybe get a ride, whatever. And then a day like today, I'm housebound. I try to have projects that I can do in the cellar. And then the most fun of all, the days that it's sunny, the wind isn't blowing, it's not any rain in the forecast, and it's over 40 degrees. And then I have all the choices, and then I'm like a man in paradise. This is not one of those days. And that's part of what makes restoring old motorcycles so much fun, such a challenge, and you build friendships from doing it with other people like Turbo Steve, other people that are enjoying the same passion that we have. And all that's left today is to get that coffee brewing. And the forecast today is rain all day, so I doubt we'll get any painting done. We can eliminate that off the list. Now, to do a good restoration, you don't really need a NASCAR garage. You don't need a lot of very expensive tools. What you need is a lot of coffee. So I haven't heard from Steve yet if he's going to be able to come to do decals. That's ready for the decals, and obviously no clear today, but it's certainly going to be. I hope it clears up in the next couple days. And we have a day of sanding or a day of shaping. Get this part, turn this part into this part. And I'm so glad. When I look at these two side by side, I'm really glad I made the decision not to leave it in clear carbon. I'd much rather have it. It really does. When I look at it from every angle, and thank you, Karen, for bringing that to my attention. I really almost dropped the ball there. Now, if you happen to have a NASCAR garage or a lot of money, or I'm jealous, of course. But here's something I think is useful information to pass on a video. It's nice to have a NASCAR garage and all these, the Jay Leno garage or whatever, but you don't really need it if you want to restore a motorcycle. You need simple, basic tools, and the big thing you need is passion. And passion is something we have a lot of, I hope. At least I think I do. Anyway, I wanted to show something, and today's a good example of what I have to do. Now, a lot of people, it's raining outside. We can't really paint realistically, but I wanted to do some sanding on this part. Now the problem is, I would like to, my first choice would be to go outside and sand it outside. The wind is blowing, and I'd like it to be a windy day. The wind blows the dust away. It's not happening today. So choice two is, I can sand it over a towel, and as I'm going along, and this is the part I wanted to show, this is the handiest little thing. And there's all different models, Dirt Devil and Dust Devil and the Devil and Miss Jones and everything. But here's what really works with this. If you're sanding in an area and you get carbon fiber dust, usually it'll all stay in one area because it just floats to the ground. You can do this, let's say every 5 minutes. And then at the end of the job, at the end of the time you're doing it, and this is something a lot of people don't really, if you have a NASCAR garage, you don't have to do this. You fold up the towel like a pierogi, take it outside and shake it. And then when you're done shaking it, put it in the laundry. So that's what we have to do today because I want to get this part sanded. So I wanted to show one thing that's, and I have plenty of these old towels. You don't need new towels, you need old ones. So buy your family some new towels and you take the old ones. This little guy has been so good. I went out, this is funny. I went there and I just bought a whole bunch more sanding, old whatever they had available, and these soft pads. Because I know somewhere in this restoration I'm going to use it over and over and over and over. And on days like this that are unpredictable and I don't have all the choices and I want to sand. Now this picks up some of it and I've emptied this out a few times, but there's always dust that comes down onto the table. And when it does, this just keeps you from breathing it in. Now, a couple of things to mention. If you're not shooting video, it's a great idea to wear one of those little paper masks, or if you're doing really a lot of work, the cartridge mask. Yes, that's possible, but if you're going to shoot video, well, so sometimes you have to sacrifice your body for the good of the A-team. Anyway, I want to get started sanding this part out today. Wait to hear from Turbo Steve and see how the weather plays out. And that's my plan for today. And if you just keep a regimen of vacuuming up the dust as you go, sooner or later, the part will be done. And we beat the rain, hopefully beat the rain. But this is such a good little tool. And it was reviewed on one of our previous videos anyway. Now, next up, I'm going to sand this down with some 600. That part came out great. Now, the combination of sanding it with the machine and block sanding it, we should get a pretty nice base. And hopefully, if it stops raining at any point in the day, we can get some, at least a minimum, get some primer on this. And that would be a giant step, a giant leap for mankind. Not sure where they're leaping, though. Anyway, it's good to have that dusty part of the job done. I vacuumed up the whole shop, shook out the towels, put them in the washing machine, whatever. This part of it gets to be a little labor intensive, but the way I evaluate how it's coming, I rub by hand with that very thin surgical kind of glove. I can feel any little imperfection. If I do have any imperfections, I can address them now, or I can fill them in with a little tiny amount of Bondo later. Depends. I'm going to take my time though, because the more time I can spend doing this, less time in the final part. Get all the edges radius nice. And any of these little jobs that they're just labor intensive. They just take more time than you think they do. But in the final result, when that gloss, very high gloss black is shining in the sun, makes all the difference in the world. Now, I agree, there are people that don't care. I never assume that what I like, other people like. Whatever flavor ice cream I like, a lot of people don't like that flavor, but that's okay. That's why they make different flavors of ice cream. So that's pretty simple way of looking at it. Now, I do most of it with the block, and I'll finalize it by dressing it off by hand, and that should be it. And there's always some areas like in here, you just have to get your fingers down in there, get that nice and smooth. You can use the sanding disc sometime to get a nice radius, but in this case it's close enough. I can do most of this by hand, I think. Now, I thought this is always worth mentioning too, and it's worth going over and over. When you're doing a part like this, the sooner you can get it block sanded flat. A lot of people don't spend a lot of time doing this, and then they just Bondo everything in. Well, you know, my thing, I try to absolutely minimize Bondo. I don't really like to have any Bondo. Or if I do, I try to use thick CA as a substitute for Bondo. And if I do have to use Bondo, that glass-filled Bondo to 4CR is certainly choice one. But there's always, at the end of this job, there's going to be a lot of parts in here. Yeah, I can get some of it with the block, but the end of that, I have to get all that sanding done by hand. And this part of it just drifts on. It's labor intensive. But when I'm done with this, it'll minimize the amount of flaws that are in first the primer, and then the paint, and then the buff out. So it's like building a nice solid foundation on a house. From that point on, you've saved time in the long run. Now, this is something where you can get down in that radius. I've shown this before. It's just sticky back sandpaper, or you can use a little Yeah, something with that appropriate shape. Also, what this is good for is when you want to dress off a radius, or there's a little high spot in a radius, you can just adjust it to the radius you need, or have several of them. Peel off enough sandpaper that they're all different. It gives you a lot of choices. Now, anytime I'm not doing metal, any kind of plastic or composite, I always want to get some primer, sealer, and this would be true if you were going over old paint. If you were going to paint a gas tank over, you're not going to sand off all the old paint, just scratch it. You always want to seal it. Primer, sealer. The idea here is to get 2 coats of primer on about 20 minutes apart. We'll put this up by a heating vent. That should do it. See what spots we have to fix in between. And maybe, you never know until you put the primer on, see if you've got any flaws that need to be fixed. Well, today we took advantage of a day, really couldn't paint outside. I managed to get the primer on while it wasn't raining in between the raindrops there. But to get to this point, it's quite a bit of work, but I have to let this dry overnight up by a heating vent tomorrow, and I never want to rush this. I never try to force everything, and it just takes the fun out of it. So what I want to do next, this of course will be, I'll touch up all the little spots, and there are a couple little things I want to work on. I'll do that on video, of course. We still got to get Turbo Steve to come over with the decals, break away from his job, or invading Poland, whatever he's doing. And I wanted to make a point, though. Just look at this. And this makes my point for me. Is when you want something at the highest level of finish, there's a couple of golden rules. And one of them is you never rush the job. You never force dry it. When you do, I don't know. You know, and they say you can do it. The body shop guys all do it. And, well, this is not a body shop job, so I don't really know. I'll leave that for you to figure out. But here's something I know is true. I've been making video since 1987. I've made there's about 800 or 900 that Paul Taylor has put on YouTube, model airplane related. There's now over 1,600 on our channel, and it's Windy Space U. You got to put the space in there. There's a point that I'm making that I want, and I'm going to show why I think this is important. A lot of people have said, "Oh, you spend an awful lot of time doing. Oh my God, you got to buy all these cameras, and things are." But you know what? In the end, when you get to be my age, I'm 74. There's things you can look back on that are priceless. Now, in my case, I look back at the times we had at Choppers when we had 8, 10, 12 people show up every Saturday morning. And we had a group called the A-Team, and we all did all these things, and it was great. It was great memories. I have almost all of them on video. Well, of course, we all got old. People move on in their life. Some people, Bob Navola moved to Atlanta. Luciano had a terrible accident this year. Other people have different commitments. We all move on. But I have the video and I have the memories. Now, to make this perfectly clear, why I'm even yapping like this, I used to shoot with a camera called a flip camera. Flip went out of business and left me with a bunch of videos that are of no value. But because I was able to convert some of the real old ones onto usable files, I have some priceless stuff on video. And since I'm getting ready to go get my grandson now, I thought I'd share one of the things. This is like a 30-second video, but it's priceless. To me, if I didn't have this on video, I could never go back and get it. When they say that little thing that you always see on YouTube, boom, 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 it's priceless. Yeah, this video is priceless. And actually, to the people that have passed on, some of my modeling friends, some of my motorcycling friends, once a person has passed on, having those memories on video, they are priceless. So anyway, I'm going to put about 30 seconds of this out there. You'll see what I mean. And thanks for watching. Okay, Grammy's got a special treat for you because you've been such a good boy today. Wait till you see the treat you got. Wait till you see what Grammy got you.
Ice cream!
Oh!
Ice cream cone.
Ice cream. Look at that ice cream cone. Is that good? Wow!
How about thank you, Grammy?
Thank you, Grammy.
Grammy made that ice cream cone with her own two hands. Look at this. He's digging right in. Is that good? Oh my goodness. How about Grandpa Windy? Does he get a bite? Do I get a bite?
I thought he is actually, but it's very small.
He loves it. Is that good?
Yeah.
Wow. Miles, we have to eat a healthy diet on Halloween. Healthy ice cream and healthy M&Ms. It's very important to be healthy on Halloween.
Okay, we got